This is a dose of reality. You don't always finish your projects in a timely manner. You don't always have something brand new to work on if you're running around after 2 children. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring this video. It's gonna take me a minute to warm up because we've got our nap time routine so down pat that by the end of it, when we're singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I'm yawning, I'm getting sleepy, and I want to take a nap myself. So I need a couple of minutes, I think, to get into the chatty mindset. But I really did want to record because I'm just so excited to share that I made something, I finished something for myself. I knit something recently and it's off the needles, it's blocked, it's beautiful. I'm over the moon with how it turned out, and it's just one of those things that it was just not on my radar even a week ago. And then the last 2 days it just happened, and those are some of the best projects. I'm not going to pretend that I was able to crank out an entire, whatever you would call this. I guess it's kind of like a blouse, a slip over, whatever, but it's definitely much more, there's more positive ease here. It feels more like a blouse than it would a slip over. I'm not going to pretend that I was able to do that in the last 2 days alone. This is something that I had sitting for a really long time, and I sat down to film just the other day. I don't know if those videos are going to see the light of day because I'm very picky and there was just weird stuff happening with both of them, so you might not actually see those. But what I needed was a project to knit and chat with, honestly. And I didn't have anything that didn't require mental energy. So I found this, and I had left this project sitting with half of the Italian bind off at the bottom done. So I was in the middle of doing my Italian bind off, and then I abandoned the project. I was not into it anymore for various reasons. I think really the last time I touched this project, it was when I moved. So that's coming up to 2 years. Regardless, that's still a really long time for it to be sitting there with half of the Italian bind off done. I mean, I know Italian bind off is not necessarily the most fun, but it shouldn't take you 2 years to do it for a bottom hem. So I picked that up because I can actually do Italian bind off multitasking. That's a unique skill of mine. It's actually not that hard, that's my opinion. So I did it, and then one thing led to another, and I decided, you know what, I am going to finish this sweater. Originally, I wanted to make it into a full long sleeve sweater, but I just decided, you know what, if I go forward with that plan, this thing is never going to be done. So I just decided to put armbands on and then finish off the collar in a really nice way. And that only took a couple of days, and now here I am with a finished object that I didn't even know about. I didn't even remember it about a week ago. This is supposed to be this is a self-drafted pattern, which is it's been a long time since I've done one of those too, which just adds to the extra specialness of it. I'm really happy with how the neckline turned out, especially. I don't need glasses, but I can never see myself in the viewfinder. So I hope I'm not blurry or anything, and that you can really see this neckline because I'm really proud of it. I did some double knitting at the end and then did the Italian bind off, and I think that finish looks so, so nice. I didn't do that for the bottom hem, and I wish I had now. Because when you read double knitting, it's actually not a difficult thing. It's just knitting and slipping stitches, at least for 1 by 1. I stole that from the teddy pants pattern that I did from Petite Knit that I knit for Arthur. It's those little cute overalls. And I remember really loving how that came out, the neckline, how the double knitting and then the Italian bind off really kind of brought the stitches in a little bit. Not so dramatically, but enough so that you don't have to worry about the neckline just appearing too big for the opening. So I'm just really jazzed about it. And then for the armholes, I did what I normally do for a V-neck. I did a mitered V and did decreases. And then I just knit enough for it to be a nice armband. And I think it looks so nice. I'm just so jazzed about it. Yeah, it wasn't the plan, but I really like how it turned out. And sometimes if you just pivot, great things happen. So it kind of got me inspired to pick up another project that I've been working on. And then that made me inspired to dig through my stash and kind of take an account of what I have to do this autumn before I really get into any of my other projects. I would really love to get these done. So I wanted to go through those with you because I have some obligation knitting, and that was what I dug out after finishing this one. I was just on a roll and I was like, okay, what else do I have lying around that I can get done pretty easily? And what do you know? I have a little bit of a pattern. Like I left them on the same step, basically. It's whenever I need to get to sleeves, I'm out. I move on to the next thing. Before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about Squarespace, my favorite platform for website design. You guys know I've had a great experience using all of Squarespace's tools to build an online presence. From their beautiful templates, SEO tools, and selling options, they make it easy to promote your business and reach your goals. What I love about them personally is that you don't need to have a lot of expertise to build something beautiful. They ask you right up front about your goals so that they can match you with the right template and tools to fit your needs. And after that, it's just a few clicks to make it your own. You can check it out for yourself by clicking the link in the description, and if you use my link, you can get 10% off your first website or domain. Thank you so much, Squarespace, and let's get into the video. So what have I been picking up recently? Well, the obligation knitting. It wasn't too long ago that my husband gave me a little bit of side eye and told me, weren't you working on a sweater? Did you even start that sweater for me? He knows I started that sweater. He was just trying to guilt me a little bit, which is fair. It's fair because the original plan was to get this done so that he could still wear it when the weather was still a little chilly in springtime. Obviously that didn't work out because it is still here on the needles. This is the zipper sweater man that I got started on last. Did I start it this year? Because that would make me feel a little bit better. I know I started it mid-season. I started it well enough into the winter season that I was like, this isn't going to get done in winter time. And I'm okay with that, like, because I didn't really want to like rush. Here's the thing about men's sweaters. We've talked about this. Everybody knows this. It takes a lot of yarn. It takes a lot of knitting time. Not only is it not for you, but it's for a much larger you. And that's just like, at least in my case, he's very tall. His torso is very long. He's got really long arms. So I've even tweaked the pattern a little bit to kind of lengthen the torso. So I am basically on the bottom ribbing. I stopped right where I needed to get started again for 1x1 rib at the bottom. And it's not even that I don't like 1x1 rib, to be honest. Hold on, I have one too many stitches actually. I hate when that happens. Usually when I don't have the right number of stitches, I just knit two together and call it a day. I don't really worry about that all that much. Either I accidentally increased a stitch somewhere or somehow my stitch count is wrong. But if I just knit two together, it's fine, you know? It's not going to be that big of a... You're not going to notice it all that much if it's a small difference in stitches. I just hope I didn't mess up my 1x1 rib. And I'm sure I will see that if that's the case as we keep going. That's the thing. Anytime that I need to change needles or get some kind of, just some kind of knitting tool that I need, that's when a project gets left behind for me. If it's not there immediately, because I'm sure as many of you knitting moms know that in the evening, I need everything near me because one, I'm tired. So I knit whatever's available. And two, if you live in a small house that's creaky and your kids are light sleepers, I don't want to be rummaging through my knitting stash when it shares a wall with my 1-year-old who's already having trouble sleeping as it is. I'm not doing anything. If he's put to bed okay, I'm not doing anything to jinx the fact that he's asleep. So I will not go get that knitting set, the needle set. I won't go get an extra skein of yarn unless I'm really on a roll and it's absolutely necessary. That one I might be okay with, but if it's clinking like stitch counters or needles, anything that might make clinking noises that might wake up a baby, it's off limits. So not only am I lazy, but I'm also just a little too like, superstitious isn't the word, but cautious in the sense that I don't want to mess anything up. Because it would be just an innocent trip to go get some new needle that I need, and then I'll end up trying to put my baby back down for like an hour. A little dramatic, but it is kind of true. So yeah, that's what's in common with all of these things. It's just, I get to a certain step and then I'm like, whew, all right, well, I'll have to do that another time. And then I don't. It's also common knowledge that the start of a pattern is always the most exciting. So I do tend to, once I'm on like off of a big step in a pattern, I tend to just move on to something different. And I tell myself like, oh yeah, I'm just doing it for a short time. It's not a big deal. But then I go through the same motions with that project and so on. So the zipper sweater man, I'm going to finish up this rib and then I have the sleeves. And you know what? I could almost bet you $50 that once I finish the sleeves and this, all that's left is the zipper, I'm probably going to leave it on the needles for a couple more months after that. Unless I'm really on a roll. I feel like that's a huge thing, because what you have to do for the zipper sweater, if you haven't knit the zipper sweater before, here it is. It's navy blue, so I'm sorry you can't really tell, but at the very center, you can see that there are some stitches left on hold, and it's actually really clever. You leave those on hold, and then later you pick them up and you knit like a little border that you then sew the zipper into. And I have all of these things, so I cannot let it sit and languish because I have literally every tool that I need. I just need to do it. I need to execute. What I have to keep telling myself is that my husband's really gonna love this. Roz will wear this every single day as soon as it's finished and it's cool outside. So I really have no reason not to finish this up as soon as possible. And that's also another reason why I picked it up, because I cannot believe it's already mid-August and I need to get it done. You know what I mean? Because before I know it, it's going to be really cool weather. It's going to be end of September and it's going to be cold and the sun will be setting a lot earlier than it is right now, because right now it sets around like 9:30 still. And yeah, it's going to get dark at 5. Things are going to be cozy. I'm going to want to be knitting all the time and on other projects too. So I really, even though this is still my time of year where I'm not so into knitting projects, I need to buckle down and get this one done because it will be well worth it. And I know I've shared this with you guys a lot, but this is just real life, like this is a dose of reality. You don't always finish your projects in a timely manner. You don't always have something brand new to work on if you're running around after 2 children. So that is number 1. But there are some other projects that I've left behind and I need to pick up again. And this one, I didn't mention that this yarn is Drops yarn, Drops Alaska. I knit the first one for Roz in Drops Nord and I really liked it, but I noticed a lot of people use Drops Alaska for a substitute of the zipper sweater man, so I wanted to give that a try for myself. I'm happy with it. I ordered this blue and then I also ordered something for myself, which segues me into the next thing. This is the Emerson pullover. by Vivian Xiaochen. I love this sweater ever since it came out. It came out a really long time ago. So this is an old pattern that I've had my eye on for a really long time. Saved it for so many times. Every time I see it on my grid, I save the post, you know what I mean? Because it really reminds me of those Baba sweaters that were really, really viral, at least on my corner of the internet. I feel like the Baba sweater look maybe 2-3 years ago was really hot, and I wanted a Baba sweater, but I could never justify myself. I just really loved the look of them, and I could never, I couldn't justify buying sweaters. I still can't. Even though I don't knit as much as I usually do, I still cannot buy a sweater at the store. I've maybe done it twice. And yeah, so this was no exception, and I was really excited to pick it up and start knitting it, because I think I bought the pattern as soon as it came out, however many years ago. And so that's just been sitting in my pattern library. And yeah, knitting this up has been a lot of fun. It was hard to get into the mindset of brioche. So this is brioche, not to be confused with fisherman's rib. I think the border does no, it's actually, does it do fisherman's rib? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I feel like I just had deja vu. Maybe I said that before. I think this 1x1 rib doesn't matter. Anyway, this is brioche though. I don't really know what the difference is between half fisherman's rib, and brioche. But I know that this is brioche. And at the time when I was starting it, I had to rip back so many times because I was just having a really difficult time understanding what I was doing. Even though it's really not that difficult, and once you get into the mindset of brioche, it's not so bad. At least I was doing it back and forth, maybe is a little bit more complex than in the round. Once I was in the round, I think it was even easier. But I'm also pulling this from whenever I did it. I want to say I was working on this last fall. I mean, yeah, because it was around the same time that I purchased the yarn. Well, it was in the same shipment. So I got this yarn at the same time, and I think I started both of these projects kind of around the same time. So this one has been sitting for a while, but not nearly as long as this one had. So I don't feel so guilty, but I'm at the end of the body. So I finished actually the body here, and then I needed to move on to the sleeves. And I think the thing about brioche is that it was just taking a really long time. I just remember the reason I put this down. It was not because it was just way too much to do with Italian bind off. In fact, if I look at it, I didn't even do Italian bind off. I just did the regular, your ordinary bind off. I don't know if that was what was in the pattern or if I was just like, I am not doing Italian bind off here. It could have been that. Yeah, I just remember needing a break from this. It was such a labor of love that I was just like, okay, I need to work on something different. And maybe that's when I started on the zipper sweater, because I was thinking I should work on something for somebody else. But I really love this gray. It's so squishy. It's already like a really large body. I know that this is going to be such a beautiful sweater to just like envelope me, and I'm just going to have like this nice slouchy, squishy, cozy sweater for the fall, and it's going to be everything I've wanted and more, everything I've saved on Instagram and more. It's just the matter of working on it. So that is why it is here in this video, because I want to make a priority before I get into my new cast-ons for fall. I would really love to finish up the sleeves and the collar. It's not going to be so bad, you know? Sleeve Island, I built it up way too much in my head. And the reality is, well, at least knitting one of the sleeves. Knitting one of the sleeves is a breeze. I should just do it because it's really a breeze. It's just as nice as starting a pattern over from scratch. You know what I mean? Like starting from zero in a pattern it's really that small. That's why I love starting patterns, because it's a really small little thing that you're working on, and then all of a sudden it gets too big, and then I'm like, ugh. So sleeves are kind of the same thing, where it's like you're working in a small circumference. It doesn't take really that long, and you're just one step closer to a finished object. So I'll alternate, I think, between these two, because I would hate to put this off and then not use it when the time comes. I feel like these two sweaters are going to get so much wear when they're finished this season that if I start early, I finish them up. And since they're such big projects, I know that they are going to take some time, because I knit this one in a size medium, and I think the measurements, I would be a size small, and on top of that, the positive ease for this pattern is really large. So I think it's going to be even larger as a size medium on me versus like what my measurements say. So anyway, it's going to take longer. It's going to be a big sweater. And that's why I would like to get started early on it. And so this is also Drops Alaska in their gray. I think it was a pearl gray color. It's a really lovely fabric, I think. And I just really love the way that brioche looks. This also reminds me of another pattern that I have in my library, and I don't know, I would actually really be curious to hear what your thoughts are on it. It's the September sweater by Petite Knit. That one, that's an old pattern that I've had for a really long time since it came out. So I think that was 2019, maybe even 2018, because I know I was like really early, pretty new to knitting. And I was like, this is one of those projects that's going to be really difficult, because she has like those ratings, and it was a really like, it was a 5 out of 5 stars. So I was like, oh, I need to get some more experience first before I work on this. And I never did. And I don't really see a lot of people knitting that up. So I would really be curious what your thoughts are on it. If you've worked it up, if you've heard anybody, know anybody that has worked it up too, let me know, because I have it in my pattern library. I should maybe bring it out if I really like working up this brioche. It's a nice silhouette too, I thought. So not as like slouchy as this one. So it could be like a nice different silhouette to wear out. Okay, let's see which one next. So this one here, I just got 2 more really that I can. This is the thing about UFOs, you might not really remember all the ones that you have, and they're like hidden in different corners. So I might have more than this, and I'm sure that if I'm editing this, I'm like yelling at the screen like, girl, you forgot one that was like even bigger than the ones that I'm about to show you, because these are more recent, and if you've been following around recently, you will recognize this one almost immediately. So this is my Aros sweater, which I'm kind of tempted again. See, I'm telling you guys, look at this theme. I stopped it right at the body. But I did put it on the needles, so I must have wanted to get started on the needles. Hey, I found a darning needle. You guys, I have lost all of my darning needles. This is amazing. That's awesome. I was really down to just 1 or 2 that I was alternating between, and they weren't big enough. And this one's like beautifully large. And it fits perfectly for like all kinds of yarn. That's awesome. I'm not gonna leave that there forever, because I do have little hands that can reach there, but for the time being, I'll just put it there. Oh, and I found some needles too. I was just looking at my needle set, and I was like, where did these other ones go? That's awesome. Okay, check your UFOs, guys. Your bags that you've been shoving in the corner. You might have a lot of odds and ends that you need to that you've been looking for a really long time. Okay, so just like the other ones left on the end of the body, I think it's just a good place to stop, you know. I was definitely a sucker to marketing when it came to this sweater and this cast on. Not only did I have all of the yarn, like I have lots of woolly knit cones to work with, because they were so kind to send me a lot when we were working together. So there's that, plus my desire to play with color at the start of this year. I was just really loving just color. And I still really love color. I've definitely moved over towards gravitating towards more, just different colors in my wardrobe, in my life in general. And this project in particular, though, I've always liked the RO sweater. I bought the RO sweater pattern when it came out. I'm definitely one of those people that's like, oh, I'm gonna make that immediately, and then I buy the pattern and don't actually end up making it. So I do have quite a bit of those patterns in my library that were passion projects and then just never became anything. But Petite Knit, I think she might have done like an update or something, or I don't know, it's a good business model to constantly re-knit your patterns and show them off. And she recently, well, not recently anymore, but at the time she had just made a new version of the RO sweater, and I thought it was really lovely. And I tried to base my version off of hers with a little bit of color variation based on what I had in my stash already. And the cones that I was working with, I think what I chose was really nice. This is a little too McDonald's for me, but that's okay. I still think it looks really cute. It gives me a little bit of a 70s vibe, and I'm like totally here for it. I really love that. Not my usual. I don't normally wear loud stripes like this, but I do love stripes. So this pattern definitely spoke to me in that way. But it's just not my typical knitting project, and I really liked that about it. And this actually came together so quickly, this body, because stripes are just so nice to work up. They're fun, and especially when they're all kinds of different colors like this, it's really great. So I know as soon as I pick this back up, it will become a passion project of mine, and I will be able to get this to fly off the needles. I just think the stripes really lend itself to that. But even still, because I had worked on it so recently, I'm going to give those other projects that I showed you some love first and see where I end up. At what time of year do I manage to pick this one back up again? It's not really a huge rush. I can't decide what I'm going to do for the collar. If you have a suggestion of what color would look the best, I think I'm free to choose whatever color it is, except for blue. Blue is obviously out because it's just right there. I don't know if brown would work either because the stripe is right there too. But I might lean towards brown if it were me to choose. Let me know what your thoughts are. I did play around with the idea, actually, similar to this. It is also an option maybe to do like a short sleeve version, because I have actually seen short sleeve RO sweaters. It is possible that I could just do that. And I was thinking the other day that I do have too many sweaters, but I do feel like this would probably get the most wear if it were just a sweater I could cozy up in. Like, yeah, I don't know. But then since it's so colorful, maybe a top would work really nicely. Just let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear your opinions on that because I am a little undecided with this one. On the one hand, I want to just free up my queue so that I can jump into some other things. It does feel good. As a mom who knits, it feels good when you get a win, you know? When you finally finish a project. I was talking about this to a friend the other day. It's just like, I don't feel like I've been able to finish anything. And it's not that it is a big deal because, I mean, it's a hobby. So, you know, if you don't finish something, you will eventually, you know? Like, there doesn't have to be like so much drama associated with not finishing things or like having UFOs. Like, that's not really, I don't feel like it's worth all the energy to be worried about it. But at the same time, there's just like that feeling when you finish something, you're just like, yes, accomplishment. Like, it's awesome. And then I can move on and do some of the other things that I really like and I want to get started on. So maybe I will take the quote unquote easy way out and make this into a short sleeve because it could be cute. And it could be different for me. That's an option. So I have this one. Again, it is on just finished the body. So now I got to go to the sleeves. We're on Sleeve Island again when I pick this one back up. So that brings me to the last thing that I could kind of find immediately in my face. And this is what I've got for my Maggie cardigan, which is not like the others. This one's very different in nature. I might be in a part, it's sleeve related though, I think, because I think I'm at the part where I need to split for sleeves. And usually that's not an issue for me. Usually it's getting through the yoke that I need a little bit of help with for sweaters like this, because this one's different. This is a cardigan. It's back and forth, so it's knitting and purling. And once you can kind of join things together and you're not increasing, it goes a little bit faster. But yeah, so this is one that's actively on the needles. I've got my mohair and my cone here. So this one's just in a completely different place. This is more starting from zero. This one I'm a little concerned with because I think I'm at the stage where I need to split for sleeves, but I'm not 100% sure. So it's going to take me a little bit more mental energy to kind of like figure out where I am in it. I'm not worried about knitting right now because I'm on a purl, and if I remember correctly, the purls are, you don't have to do increases or anything. Oh gosh, I hope. I really hope I don't have to do increases and I'm just knitting. But I might have made a mistake. Who knows? I'll look that up later. But I want to do something with my hands. I really love this red here. I was so into the idea of having a red cardigan. I think the reason that I cast this on, if memory serves me correctly, I went to the park and I saw a mom pushing her kid on the swing or doing whatever you do at the park, wearing a red cardigan, a white t-shirt, and blue jeans, and she looked so cute and casual. She looked put together, but like in like a I just threw this on kind of way, and I was like, I need a red cardigan so I can just throw it on and look really casual. So that's what inspired this. That, and again, very similar to the Aro sweater, I think I saw the Maggie cardigan all over my Instagram. and yeah, I was kind of influenced to cast it on. That is not a pattern that I really owned from the very start of its release. I kind of had to warm up to it and really look through some of the other things, like the hashtag. I had to look through the hashtag and see what other people had made to really get an idea if I liked the fit. And I think from what I could tell about what everybody said, this just fits really nicely like a store-bought cardigan. So that's what I wanted, because as we know, I cannot purchase knitwear at the store. And so, yeah, I was inspired. And so I cast it on. And so this one, it would be great if I could just, wrap up the things that I have ongoing. This one and all those others, like I've been talking about this whole video. I would really love to be able to just wrap these up so that I can make way for some new releases. Admittedly, I haven't been on Instagram in a while. I pop in every once in a while, just see what's going on, but I really don't like to spend all my time there. I'm actually rewatching Gilmore Girls right now, and before that I was watching Yellowstone, so I've been really on a Netflix kick. So that's where I've been spending most of my time, and then when I'm not doing that, I'm on Facebook Marketplace because I'm kind of obsessed with it right now. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Long story short, I'm just not on Instagram. And so I haven't been marketed to by the knitting community in quite some time. And so, I don't have like any projects that are really like on my radar. I know that I'm going to have to start working on my son's Christmas sweaters this year. It's between two things. I would love to do Weasley sweaters for them at some point, like with the A and the N, because Arthur and Noah. I would love to make those, and that would be adorable for them on Christmas morning to be wearing matching sweaters, Weasley sweaters. They're iconic. So I think that is a top contender, and I'm pretty sure Roz is on board for that. I think that's what he wanted. So there's that. Or I wanted to knit more Ingrid sweaters because I just love the baby version that I made, and I think Arthur deserves a bigger version of that, and Noah, of course, also deserves one, and that would be a really cute matching one too. Those are the two that were on my radar. There's also the idea of maybe doing a slip over, but I don't have like a pattern that's really out in my head that I can think of. But I do need to get my act together early for that because I'm knitting two. I'm not just knitting one, I'm knitting two. So I would really love by maybe end of September to get started in some way, maybe on Noah's first, because then I can move on to the larger one. But anyway, we've still got time for that. We've got like a month and a half, and I can get my act together then. So we're back in knitting then, it sounds like. A little earlier than I had anticipated, but I'm really happy nonetheless. And it all started from brushing off an old UFO that turned out a lot better and a lot different than I had imagined it to. So I'm really thankful for that. I didn't actually mention the yarn because I had talked about it in those videos that you might not actually see. This is hobby yarn, by the way, and it's really nice. It's the Friends wool and the Friends mohair. It's just like their basic mohair and wool, but it's really nice. It comes in about like 80 different colors. It's insane. And this one's the chocolate, but it looks more like a red wine color, I think. It's like another one of those browns where it's like, is it red? Is it brown? I'm not really sure. In some lights it looks red, in some lights it looks a lot more brown. So I really like this color. I think it suits me. Going back, I just had a thought about the AI video that I did with the color palette. I didn't mention it with the RO sweater, but yeah, that AI analysis, the color analysis that I did, I know that it's a bunch of crap because it doesn't make any sense that pastels would work for me. So anyway, I don't really care, obviously, because I'm still going with red, and red doesn't really seem like it's a great color for me either. Wear what you want. That's all I'm going to say about that, since we're going on off color. Okay, now I'm rambling, so it's time for me to stop here. Thank you guys so much for sitting down and chatting with me about these projects. Do you find that you have a pattern when it comes to abandoning your whips? I would definitely like to know about it. But also in my defense, you know, when warm weather comes, it's not that fun. So it was, well, I definitely have a problem and a pattern, but it's also related to the time of the year and if they're going to be used or not. Like, it's not really that urgent and so on. I can make a lot of excuses for myself, but at the end of the day, they still need to be worked up. So I'm going to go get on that, and I will share with you my progress. Thank you guys again for sitting down with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.